Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. Hey, it's Conrad, the mortgage guy, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, Conrad, I'm a little fatigued physically. Just got out of the gym. I feel like I've been run over by a Mack truck, but I won't get right into football, Conrad. But, man, there's all kind of analogies we could draw into the tournament getting in, and Bama got in. But we won't talk about that. There's a lot of topical things going on in the world of wrestling. Steelers won yesterday. Titans won yesterday. There was a lot of celebrating. A lot of food was eaten yesterday, Conrad. I hadn't had my full fill of meat and potatoes this week. So Karen yesterday was like, "Are you really going to eat?" I said, well, anyway, that was about 4:00. And so I had anyway, all good, Conrad. Celebration all around. I can tell you are smiling. Bama got in.
Wait. Celebration all around. What exactly are you celebrating, Jeff?
Did you not see?
No, I missed it, I guess. Are you talking about the gift of Shedeur Sanders? Like he's the only offensive weapon. They've not been able to run the ball at all.
I mean,
what a gift.
Titans that they are. I mean, we steamrolled. What a fantastic win. I mean, I don't want to go down too far out, but I got a few texts from yesterday that was like, "Hey, baby, the Titans are back."
Nobody said that. That's a lie.
I swear, my daughter's boyfriend texts that as a complete joke. I'm just like, dude.
I was fixing to say, we got to get him a helmet. He needs a helmet and a leash. He should not be allowed in public.
Hey, Shedeur, he's pretty impressive. I mean, it was against the Titans, but
I'm glad you brought him up.
Oh, no.
Because he's trending. I don't know if you've seen, but there's one viral moment.
Oh, no.
When he was tackled and he went down and people took a look, and I feel like it was almost that meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where the Leonardo DiCaprio leans forward and snaps and goes, whoa. Because it looked like Shedeur Sanders was playing football in a thong. So it made me say to myself, I know a bunch of these wrestlers shave their whole bodies and tan their whole bodies. What percentage of the boys wrestle in thongs, Jeff?
What percentage? Conrad, I'll be brutally honest, come out of the gate. I don't think, April 6th of 1986, Conrad, is when I started. And so.
Wait. Does that mean that 5 months from now is your 40-year anniversary?
Yeah. So I'm pointing out to say that I've had 39 plus years to take inventory on, does this guy song? Conrad, I don't really recall that I've ever really done the thong check, to be honest with you.
Oh, there's wrestlers who wear thongs. Like we know for a fact that Hulk Hogan wore thongs.
Oh.
And other guys. But I'm saying, you wore thongs?
You can't have what do women call it?
Panty lines.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Connie. You're buddy. You just tossed me a softball, and I didn't see it coming. Boy, you walked me right down this.
Hang on. I just want to make sure I got the headline for all the aggregators that are listening to our show.
Jeff Jarrett wears a thong.
That's it, right? Jeff Jarrett wears thongs.
So back when I started, there was under tights and then tights. I guess that's what they used to do. And you still, if you will, and it's like panty lines. I'll use that. I thought, what the hell? That don't look right. Then when I went to the long tights, So you wore the long tights and with the straps up, or just even long tights. You kind of had a double tight right then. And then when I went to, I guess some people call them the biker shorts, if you will, you got to figure something out, Connie. So like, what are you? How the F did we get on this subject? Oh, Shador.
You
Okay.
called up the Titans and the Browns. You did it to yourself, if we're honest. But just so I'm clear, you don't want to be out here on Thong Island by yourself, Jeff. Let's start naming other citizens who reside on Thong Island with you. Who back in the day used to run around in thongs?
I mean, there is a fair share of let's talk Robert Fuller.
Oh, there's no way. Now I know he had banana hammocks. I've seen the photo poolside there in Fort Myers, Florida, I believe. But
that would
the
be
rear end was hanging out too.
That's Tampa. That's Indian Rocks Beach.
Oh, my apologies. So you know exactly. You got hog GPS at your house. I get it. But
Down the street from Macho Man.
You're telling me that he had a thong hanging out on the backside too,
buddy. I wish I could do impersonations, because man, oh man,
just take a stab at it. Because and listen, unless you're going to stand up and get all cheeked out, we don't want to see that here, and we'll get demonetized. But tell me, what wrestlers were cheeked out back in the day? Let's start with the WWF. Was Bret Hart a thonger?
Honestly, I can't even. I don't recall, but there was a lot of, what would you call a free baller? Because you're good at like.
Ric Flair was a free baller. We know because we watched his matches and people would pull his trunks down and show his bare ass. It was a whole gimmick.
That's God, I'd feel naked out there. I don't see how those guys, but there was quite a few free ballers, no doubt.
Well, that's kind of what I expected, if I'm honest with you. And I know that like under tights are a thing, because I would see a guy like Bret Hart where I know he had the long tights and the short trunks or whatever. So I get that's the thing. But our great close personal friend, Gerald Briscoe, he went through his shed treasures this past year and he found all kinds of really cool stuff, including a pair of WrestleMania tights and boots from Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 9. So those are listed right now on golden.co. They're being auctioned off by Golden Company. And you've probably seen their show on Netflix or what have you. But if you're looking for a pair of WrestleMania Hulk Hogan boots that are autographed, they're available now at Golden. But he also had the tights, and I'm a dumbass, so I just thought it's a pair of tights. So I went to the website to look at, hey, what other Hulk Hogan items did Briscoe list? Not only did he list the tights, but he listed the under tights. So I didn't realize that even Hogan wore two pair of tights. So you had the pair that everybody saw, and then you had the pair that his thermos saw. And I'm wondering to myself, who wants that fucking pair? Like, all right, now listen, you didn't see it on TV, but his balls and asshole touched this. Don't you want it? And it's like, who's fucking buying that? But now I'm down a rabbit hole because of Shador Sanders. Thank you, Dion. You're the gift that keeps on giving. Just go ahead and name some other citizens here on Thong Island, Jeff. Go. Let's go to one shot on Jeff until he gives us at least 5 names.
I don't see, because I don't want to speak out of turn. A lot of the guys,
I don't give a shit. You saw cheeks.
Underwear. I'm just trying to think of people that I travel with a lot. You know what? If my memory serves me correctly, I definitely think Big Kev, Big Sexy.
Okay. There we go. We got a name. So it's Jeff Jarrett. It's Kevin Nash.
I think Scott Hall was not. I think he was an undertight guy. Road Dogg, if I remember correctly, was kind of an underwear guy. I'll call that.
Yeah, he wore pants. That's not necessary.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, briefs. Yeah.
Now, what about Mr. Ass? There's a guy who ran around the WWF calling himself Mr. Ass. And if he's on the list, we're not going to say a bad word about him.
He's definitely got to be a thong guy.
All right. So we got Billy Gunn. We got Jeff Jarrett. We got Kevin Nash. What about Big Papa Pump? Was he cheeked out?
Got to be.
All right. So we got Scott Steiner. There's your new headline. Scott Steiner wore thongs. If 411 fuck sheet is listening. One more visitor, one more citizen of Thong Island, Jeff. And let's go with the current guy. Who do you know? Who do you see walking around?
Buff. I'm just trying to think. Buff.
That was easy. We should have known. Okay. Lex and Buff. All right, now let's go to the AW locker room. Let's get some real heat. Let's get people giving you the side eye when you show up to TV tomorrow. Who's cheeked out in AW? Who's Satnam Singh wearing a thong?
Oh, let's just stop there, and I'll say yes, because I can't wait to just have that bit of information. Satnam, I told the whole world you're wearing a thong.
Don't say my name, just in case. We may edit that out now because I don't want to get that.
Looping you in right away.
What about Jay Lethal?
No. Briefs.
MJF? I
have no idea. That's what I'm saying is I
Smart Mark Sterling?
Have no
That's good. What about Mark Briscoe? Don't fucking break my heart and tell me Mark Briscoe and Eddie Kingston are thongs. I
have no idea, but I'm gonna be willing to wager. Not a chance, either of those guys. Not a chance.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We got a few things that are true.
Oh,
listen, I know you didn't ever actually spend time in the ring with him, but do you reckon old John Cena was a thonger? I mean, he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Not that big of a stretch, but one last time, do you think he's got a special game day thong?
I would think so. When you think about the Boston kid that went out to LA, he had to have immediately gone into, like you said, body guy. Yeah, no doubt. Thong guy.
Well, since we're saying body guy, you think Vince was a thong guy?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm learning a lot here today.
Yeah. Well, this is just guess. This is, you took me down this road. It's subjective for sure, but
no, it's not subjective. We're going to hook your ass up to a lie detector next week.
No. It's my best recollection. Nash, yes. Hall, no. Big Papa, yes.
Like Dusty and Flair just let it. I mean, I've heard stories of Dusty walking around the locker room in just boots. So he's not bashful, so he don't care.
Got back. That's why I was trying to think of the dressing rooms and the weekly. Robert Fuller would come in, and he, especially in the summertime, it's so damn hot. He would walk in, big old long drink of water, but he would walk in with a button-down shirt, but about maybe 2 buttons buttoned together, and then he would have shorts. And I get it, the different styles and everything, but they were kind of short shorts, but it was stylish. It's basketball shorts, kind of half. So anyway, he'd walk into those kind of short, and he's got a little girth down there, Connie, and he'd walk in flip-flops, and he would be telling his stories and making everybody laugh in the dressing room and this and that. But then it was time, he would take his flip-flops off and put on his socks and boots. And that's what he put on first. And many a time, we're talking finishes, that we're going to do this, do that. If you catch him kind of midstream and undressing, he had no problem at all standing up and carrying on the conversation. Robert, put that weapon up. Yeah, I've I've seen and heard the Dusty stories. Robert, something about that 70s generation. I don't know, Connie. We just pivoted. I mean, you went straight from Shador to thongs.
That's all anybody's talking about on Twitter today, Jeff.
You don't have an image, do you? I didn't.
I mean, we don't want to get demonetized, but maybe Silva can add it in post. But when he went down on a tackle,
okay,
this like went over,
real, and like legit.
Respectfully, you see his brown skin and a piece of fabric or brown skin. Listen, when my wife does it, I call it a whale tail, and you can see, the little, how you do. Hey, listen, let me ask you.
Oh, athlete, my God, cut the guy some slack.
How about wearing a fucking jockstrap? I don't know, just freestyling.
He's probably got something. I don't know. Who knows?
Do you have a lucky thong you wrestle in? I'm not even being funny now. I'm being sincere. Some guys are superstitious. Did you have, this is the thong I won the world title in?
None. Nope. No lucky ones.
Maybe you need some.
You ain't shitting. God,
my favorite.
That's good.
My favorite line of the day is, Robert, put that weapon up. If Robert was here, we would and we had to share a locker room with him, I would hope that we knew about the stop box. Just in time for the holidays, we want you to put that weapon up with Stop Box USA. We're talking, of course, about the Stop Box Pro. If you own a handgun for self-defense, your storage likely fits into one of two frustrating categories. It's either locked away, meaning it's safe, but it's out of reach in case of an emergency, or it's unsecured, which means you've left it vulnerable to anyone. Stopbox USA saw the problem and designed a groundbreaking solution, the Stopbox Pro. With the Stopbox Pro, you'll never have to choose between security and readiness again. Its ingenious push-button locking system gives you fast, reliable access when every second matters, without the hassle of keys or reliance on batteries. It's 100% mechanical, so it works every time, no power needed. With Stopbox USA, you can finally have both security and readiness. The Stopbox Pro's mechanical keyless system allows for fast, secure access without the risk of fumbling for keys when every second counts. It's also battery free, so you never have to worry about your lock not working. And with the holidays coming up, there's never been a better time to upgrade your home security or give the peace of mind to someone you care about. Whether it's for your own nightstand or a loved one who takes safety seriously, the Stopbox Pro delivers the perfect balance of protection and preparedness. All the products are made right here in the USA, and the Stopbox Pro is TSA compliant, so the holidays just got a little safer and a whole heck of a lot more affordable. Right now, for a limited time only, our listeners can get a crazy good deal. Not only can you get 10% off your entire order when you use the code Jarrett10 at Stopbox USA, but they also give you a buy one, get one free for their Stopbox Pro. That's one for you and one for a gift. That's 10% off and a free Stopbox Pro when you use the code Jarrett10 at stopboxusa.com. That's JARRETT10 at stopboxusa.com. Now, of course, we know that Mr. Fuller's stop box was a thong. But in case you were wondering, I believe our crack producer, Dave Silva, he's got a picture of what's causing all this, as Ric Flair used to say on WTBS. The thong discussion is from Sador Sanders being tackled yesterday. And there you see. That, to me, my friend, looks like a thong.
Interesting color choice, pal.
Well, it is a nude color, but maybe for the wrong person. Just freestyling.
I just said it's an interesting color, and you had to.
Well, listen, I'm colorblind, but I think that the ladies would call that nude.
They
right?
Would. They definitely would. How about old Shador? I thought he played well, and we're talking about his damn thong. I thought he played very
well. No, we're talking about, and I'm not going to talk shit about Kevin Nash's thong or Billy Gunn's thong or Scott Steiner's thong. You didn't give me a lot to work with, so we're going to have to just focus on your thongs. Like, do you have a thong drawer at your house?
I do.
Is it a separate drawer from Karen's, or you just pick whichever one's on top?
Nope, it's separate. I got my wrestling socks. It's one of my short drawers, smaller ones. It's got
don't demean yourself like that. I mean, I know Blue Chief's not sponsoring us this way, but it's a good size.
The drawer.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yes, the drawer. Here we go, pal. I got my knee pads, wrestling socks, street socks, the big black thick ones. And then I got my thongs. That aren't they called the jockey? What is the real terminology for them? Not this damn thong. Maybe it is called. Is it a thong? No, I'm trying to think.
Listen, I'm not talking about, bikini cut briefs.
No,
I'm talking about fabric right between the mountains here.
That's right.
I don't know why it tickles me that you and Karen both have thong drawers, but it does.
Your visualization.
As a rib, did anybody ever use a frilly lacy one just to pop the boys? Because that feels like guy humor.
I can't seem to think. I mean, Adrian Street back in the day, but that would have gone down in his gimmick, in his persona. I can't. You know what? That'd been a good rib, like something along those lines. But no, I can't remember any of that. That's back in the day. That would have entertained some folks.
We got a live audience thanks to our family over at adfreeshows.com. And Stella Winband wants to know, did Yokozuna wear a thong?
You know what? I know. No. I mean, I can't confirm nor deny. I don't know. That's a good question, but My gut tells me no, because he wore tights and then the sumo belt.
Well, the next logical step, according to Mark Bishop, who's with us here live, says thong on a pole match or maybe a thong gauntlet. You think we could see one of those in the future?
Now, how would a thong gauntlet work?
I think it's just a group of guys who wear thongs, and
And
you're gonna
the
declare
winner
one of
gets
them the
the
king
thong.
of the thongs. Maybe you have Cisco do the song and the whole thing.
I got you. Okay. Okay. I'll go with that. I almost think thong on a pole match could be maybe a little bit more entertaining. Anything on a pole works, but you could.
So we should have leaned into this during the Attitude Era. Cisco was out there running around with the thong song, and if you remember, one of the lines in the chorus was "Let the booty go." I think "Let the booty go" could get over in wrestling. Where are you at on letting the booty go?
Let the booty. Now, is that a song from a line from a song?
Oh wait, you don't know about the thong song?
I know the thong song. Is that in the
Yeah,
lyrics?
yeah. Now listen, I'm sure I'm gonna have to. Well, I probably can't play it here because they'll take it down. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is a lyric where he says, "Let the booty go."
Okay. Interesting that we've gone down. Now we're on the thong song.
Well, I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I never in a million years,
Thong gauntlet.
never in a million years did I expect to hear that some of my childhood heroes, when they're out there kicking each other's asses, are doing it in a thong. And now it makes me think, is this a missed merch opportunity? Like badasses wear thongs. Like maybe I've been going about this the wrong way. Cause like Kevin Nash and Billy Gunn and Scott Steiner, nobody listening to this wants to even look their direction, much less talk shit. But apparently a lot of guys were running around in thongs, and I don't know. It's been an enlightening morning here for me on my
How about
world.
that? I mean, I always said professional wrestling it's just a little bit odd if you really walk it down a couple of. But I think that's the Conrad. Tell you the truth, you've cheered and been emotionally connected to a lot of thong wearers, and so I have to say that doesn't reflect on the person wearing the thong. That reflects on you.
Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but there was a section of my life where I donated a lot to the cause to people who were wearing thongs. I'd go on down to the shoot show or the shoe show and, see the midnight ballet.
Yeah.
And there's lots of thongs, but never did I imagine that maybe if I had just finished Monday Night Raw and then decided to go visit, I don't know, the pony on Ware Drive here in Huntsville, that maybe I had just been watching like a menagerie of thongs all day and had no idea.
Yeah. How about that?
Learning a lot about myself and my fandom here today.
It's enlightening. It is an enlightening My World recording day, which really puts a smile on my face. That's
Hey,
we
are going to be talking about Double J's top 5 baddest heels today. We're also going to be talking about the big news that TNA is going to AMC. We'll talk about the whole Netflix business, and we're going to talk about John Cena because he has his last match this weekend. But something I wanted to touch on before we get too far into the show is over the weekend, the Tennessean, which is the Nashville paper, been around a long time,
Good Lord.
had a whole feature on you. So I know we're talking about the Titans, but they were not on the front page of the sports section on Sunday in Nashville. It was, in fact, JEFF, JARRETT. And what's interesting about this is it feels like everywhere I look, everything's popping up like all things Double J. There's not one, not two, but 3 different articles linked over at the Tennessean website. You've got videos, you've got print articles. One of them's behind a paywall, but just a huge collage of photos and almost a deep dive on your career. And what's really fun is this comes just, I don't know, a month and a half, 6 weeks maybe after your first time wrestling in your hometown for Pigfest in Hendersonville. And the rumor and innuendo is that there's a documentary that's about to be completed that may actually air on Nashville stations There's like a lot of resurgence about around Double J in Middle Tennessee. What's going on, Jeff?
It is pretty cool. It's I don't know. It's we've talked about it. I won't go back into it, but me doing or being a part or agreeing to the wrestling in my hometown for the first time. It's kind of crazy what's came out of it, Conrad, because Mike Organ, he used to be with the Nashville Banner. That was the afternoon newspaper. Obviously, that went away many years ago. But Tennessean, it's been the Nashville for generations, and Nashville daily paper forever. And Mike reported back on my high school days, so he's kind of followed high school, college, early days of pro wrestling, all through it. And he was actually at the last match, or my first match, the Hendersonville show, and was just kind of talking about it when he got back to the office, and not really just how much he enjoyed it. He was talking about how big Pigfest had grown in the last 5 years, just kind of exploded from what it started and where it is now, and it continues to get bigger, and the music acts they've had out there, and on and on and on. And his editor came to him and said, "Hey, man, I want you to go do a feature on Jeff." And he's like, "Well, okay, what do you want me to what is the focus on?" He's I don't know that he's got an event or like about what. He said, "No, just a feature on his career." So I thought that was pretty cool. So me and him chatted a couple of times, and as all media does now, you have to create some video content. So I told him to meet me at the gym that day. I kind of find it ironic, and you were talking about the different drawers in my house. One of my drawers is my workout tank tops, and I pulled that one out, and that was the AEW Slam Dunk. So kind of wrestling and basketball, and ironically, that's what the article ended up being, kind of about basketball days of where it started. But no, I am very appreciative of what Tennessean did and came out this weekend. It went online, I guess, last Wednesday, and then couple of video pieces they dripped out, and then it was in print. Got quite the feedback from folks. Texted me off and on all day yesterday that they had seen it. So pretty cool. Nice feature. It covered high school basketball, college, the early days of refereeing, and then breaking in, and then just kind of the run all the way up till I think I don't know if you have it, but there's a picture of Ric Flair last match. Obviously, there's 3 AEW pictures in there, but it was featured well. And I thought Mike did an excellent job. He dug deep, and he got quotes. He got quotes from Philip Hutchison. That name would not ring a bell, but it really surprised me. Hutch is a guy that I played against in high school, and he went to Lipscomb, and he went on to Lipscomb College, and he broke the record. He scored the most points in this basketball in college basketball history, 4-year career. He held it for like 3 years, and then a guy followed right in behind him who went to the same school he did and broke that record. But what was his name? Anyway, so Hutch, he's the athletic director now at Lipscomb University. They got a quote from him. They got a quote from Zach Pillar. When I got into that story about Mike Organ, and Zach has a couple of sports bars, neighbors that are around town. But the quote from there, oh gosh, I'm not going to do a good job of it, but he basically said, "Conrad is the greatest day in his life, and I've played in the Super Bowl," or something like that. He said that a couple of times. But if you go in his sports bars, there's pictures of all kinds of wrestling memorabilia. So he loves it. So the Tennessee Titans deal, and it told that story. So it was good. Very, very. I'm very appreciative. I am. It was very nice of those guys to do it, but pretty cool. And the kind of, we documented it at your urging, Conrad. Don't try to slip out the side on this, but we went from one camera and then another guy, and then we ended up having 3 and a drone. And so the night was documented, and the finishing touches are going on that. So we're trying to figure out, a couple of networks are interested in it, which I find pretty cool. So we're trying to figure out what's the best way to go about this. And so, yeah, there's going to be a doc that's going to air in Nashville. And I'm sure, Conrad, I'll leave that up to you, but we'll probably get that online, won't we?
Yeah, I would love to. I think we should definitely put it right here on My World. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to our YouTube. It's myworldpod.com. That's myworldpod.com. Hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell. Jeff and I are going to be live, I'm sure, a time or two during the holidays. There's a lot for us to talk about today. There's a lot of things that are developing right now. I want to get to those, including we are going to be talking about Double J's top 5 baddest heels. We are going to be talking about John Cena. We're all are going to be talking about the TNA deal with AMC. But first, I want to talk about our friends over at Factor. Jeff is looking better than ever these days, and a lot of that is because of diet. I mean, he'll tell you that yes, training is important, but you can't out train a bad diet. That's what Double J always says. In fall sometimes feels like it's a reset. And right now during the holidays, things are busier than ever and our days are shorter. So you're probably looking for more variety and more meals. Well, I think Factor is exactly what you're going to be looking for. With a busier routine, finding time to cook can be tough. And that's why Jeff loves Factor. You hear he's got a lot of balls in the air. Well, maybe not thanks to that thong, but he's got a lot of stuff he's doing. All right. He's busier than ever. But what's great about this is he gets exactly what he needs and bam, 2 minutes he's eating. You can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options. They've got premium seafood choices too, like salmon and shrimp, all at no extra cost. And you can also support your wellness goals. There's even more GLP-1 friendly meals and a new Mediterranean diet. And that option is packed with protein and all of the good for you fats. But they've also got global flavors. They just recently rolled out Asian inspired meals with bold flavors that are influenced by China and Thailand and more. But for more choices and for better nutrition, that's why 97% of their customers say that Factor has helped them live a healthier life. Now, here's the thing you may not know about Double J, but I know because I've eaten with him enough. Not only does he want to eat good, he wants to feel good after. And he feels the difference with Factor, and you will too, no matter what your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/myworld50 off. And then use the code MyWorld50 off. And buddy, you'll get 50% off your first box. Plus, you'll get free breakfast for 1 year. That's worth repeating. Use code MyWorld50 off at factormeals.com. You'll get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready to eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto renewing purchase. Go ahead and do it right now. Factormeals.com/myworld50 off. 50% off that first box and free breakfast for a year.
A year.
Sounds too good to be true, Jeff.
Connie, you know as well as I do. It's funny how that is now, that they're pointing it out, because I have said that many, many times. I tell that sometimes to the girls' boyfriends about the eating. I said, when you can't eat 2 hours after you've already, because they're into training, you can't eat 2 hours after you've had your meal. It's what you're eating. Heavy starches, heavy sugars, all that stuff that just sits on your gut. It is point blank. It's unhealthy for you. So the Factor meals are put together, digestible, packed with protein, and then you can keep on keeping on with whatever you're going to do in your active lifestyle.
Go try it. You're going to love it. Factormeals.com/myworld50 off. Hey, Jeff, we got a live studio audience member here, Mark Bishop, who says, who wore a thong and used a small package? Look at what we've done. Look at what we've done.
Mark Bishop, I appreciate you listening. Very entertaining. It's low-hanging fruit. Pardon the pun.
I think Mr. Fuller had a little low-hanging fruit, didn't he?
What happened to us today?
I don't know. We became sophomores all of a sudden.
We did.
We see one thong and look at us.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to ask you about this new deal, because I'm sure this has to feel a little weird.
What's this now?
Like, here you are watching your baby all grown up. You know, it's hard to believe, but your baby now is 23 years old, 23 and a half. I'm talking, of course, about Total Nonstop Action. And now your baby has finished college, and I guess they're going off to graduate school called AMC, or they're starting their big girl job, whatever you want to call it. I'm just blown away at TNA was able to land a television deal. That's pretty impressive. Not everybody can do that. And even more impressive that it's with AMC, where we've seen so many like epic series. Like I loved Mad Men and Breaking Bad and so many other great series that belonged on AMC. And now they're going to be in the wrestling business. And that always felt like a big hurdle to clear for a lot of networks because there's this perception that, hey, they don't want wrestling fans. Wrestling fans don't spend money. It's hard to buy. It's hard to sell ads for them. It's at a lower CPM. Hey, maybe a lot of people watch it, but are those the type of people you want to watch it? And maybe that's why AMC does it, because so much of their other programming, respectfully, is highbrow. Maybe they want something that is for the everyday man. Maybe they want a little more blue collar. I don't know what the approach is, but as I'm thinking through it, all I can think about is you, because I know that this was your idea. And now you're seeing a company that you created, that you founded, and you're no longer involved with, and they've got a TV deal. And I can't help but wonder how that must feel for you to sort of be on the outside looking in. Like, I'm sure you're happy for their success, but at the same time, is there a little bit of, I wish I was a part of that? Or does that not exist with you? Or has that long passed with you?
Well, okay, we'll go into that first because I'll kind of give you a couple of backstories on it. It's long past. I am very grateful when I look back on just, and I mean this, the good and the bad. You know, at the end of the day, me and my dad, we're both were part of the division that was drawn between us, and we, long moved on past that. But just the opportunity to work at that level with my dad and then building it, and even the Screechy situation wasn't the funnest opportunities, but man, it started off great. But then the Carters and just that run and Spike and all the ups and downs, and man, but I would not be where I'm at today. I wouldn't take anything for that time. And it didn't turn out like it goes without saying. It took a left turn, and me and Toby did our damnedest to buy it back. But yeah, because when you just gave that analogy, they're 23 and getting out of college and gone off. They had some really rough. When you think about, I'll call it the TNA Venture days, and that's about the last 2 years when I left, and then the Corgan days, and then the early Anthem days, and even through the pandemic and just all of that, I could not be happier. It's great for the industry. I want to be so clear that the strength of the industry just always continues to amaze me. It really does. So it's good for the industry. It's good for that brand. I'll say this: Len Asper has, we didn't see eye to eye in 2017, long before the complete falling out. But they've persevered, and now they've got it to a position. And look, timing and the execution and the kind of the persistence, and they just stayed in the game. And obviously the WWE relationship has done wonders. Just all, but at the end of the day, the brand and, the impact, and Scott, they finally got it back to TNA, long time coming, but man, it's, I think in so many ways, it's so good for the industry. But the AMC component, and I don't know that I've ever really gone into detail, but I'll just share a little bit about it, is that when me, and these are the Global Force days, when me and Arthur Smith, A. Smith Productions, he's got a cool show coming out on TNT called Dunk Man. But anyway, American Ninja Warrior, and he had all the, Hell's Kitchen, and just all the, his reach and strategy and mindset. And we had our brainstorming sessions and thought processes. And I've already kind of told the story. We met when Kevin Riley first got with TBS, and we had our list of networks. And I remember sitting down with Arthur's agents, and I'm like, all right, what's the strategy? And they were like, I said, hey, let's start with the dream. And they said, well, let me hear yours. And I said, no, I'd rather not go first. You guys take the lead. And they started with Fox Sports. Eventually, that's who we went under a holding deal, because that was the number one priority. And Arthur had previously, he was a big part of starting Fox Sports. So they were by far the leaders. But then, it was the Turner, Time Warner, or TBS, TNT, kind of that group. But I remember going through the conversations with Arthur, and he had AMC on the list. And I'm like, tell me a little bit about that. And he said, Jeff, I've already talked to them. I'm like, wrestling on AMC? And I said, what do you mean? He said, Jeff, wrestling brings an audience. Hell yeah, they would. He said that's the simplicity of all this. Wrestling will bring an audience. I said, interesting. So we had pitch meetings on the West Coast and on the East Coast, and when we made our East Coast stop, David Levy and others with WBD and just all the different kind of conversation. They weren't WBD at the time, but all the different things. But he said, hey, we've got this AMC meeting. And I'm like, man, this is interesting. So we go in, and it was our, I'll say a traditional pitch meeting, but they immediately, when they kind of went into it, they went into, hey, this is the success of our network, characters, storylines, episodic. And man, when you kind of look at Walking Dead and the numbers and multiples of those success stories, you just go, okay, I can see where they're going with it. It's not in the DNA, but man, it is in the DNA. So I'm happy for it, man. I really think they got a lot of blue sky in front of them. So I think that it's a positive thing. It's good for the industry, competition across the board, no matter who it is. I mean, we texted a little bit about over the weekend. All the news in Mexico over the last, I guess, this year, you would say, oh, they got acquired by WWE. That's the front runner. The reality is CMLL business. And I think there's some factors, including AEW. And I think the acquisition didn't hurt them, it helped them. But, one venue at CMLL sold 1 million tickets. So, CMLL, New Japan, they've got their big show coming up, tickets going like crazy. So the business, I'm going back to the healthy state of the business, and hats off to Carlos and Lynn at the very top of that, man. Lynn Asper has really persevered through this wrestling acquisition that he was a part of TNA. I can't say day one, but man, we started in 2002. I think Fight took a bite of the apple and partnered with us on an international deal. I want to say maybe 2004, 2005. So it's been a long time relationship.
I want to come back to CMLL. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to ask a few more questions about this whole AMC deal. Actually, before I do that, do you know Carlos Silva at all?
Peripheral,
So you've met him a few times. You don't really know him?
I don't know him that well. No, I can't say that I do. I know him, had conversations going back. He's been around, not in wrestling, but a while.
In what context did you meet him previously?
Well, just like super casual.
No, but I'm saying, like, what was he doing and what were you doing? How were you? Did you meet him at the Waffle House in Hendersonville?
No. I always get it wrong. PFL.
Oh, Professional Fighting League. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. So I do want to ask, because one of the issues, if you recall, and I'm not trying to draw the comparison, but when the Nashville network, TNN, first decided, hey, you know what? We'll take a chance on wrestling. They did that with ECW and Paul Heyman. Obviously, they almost immediately set their sights on WWE once they realized, hey, WWE is interested in leaving USA. We could get them. Now, no disrespect to ECW. Everybody listening to this knows I'm a huge ECW fan. Can't get enough of it. Loved it. However, I think as a business person, everyone would agree, if you could have ECW or you could have WWE, you want WWE. It's just easier to sell. It's an easier brand to sell. It's an easier brand to monetize, like the name recognition in the market. If you and I were to go down to our local Walmart and say, hey, do you know what WWE is? Almost to a person, everyone's heard of it and knows what it is. That's the challenge that something like TNA would have to overcome, because even the phrase TNA, people would say, wait, what is this? Is this like Girls Gone Wild? If they even knew that it was wrestling, it would be a big deal. But I'm saying all that to say, one of the criticisms that Heyman had on the program, and he said this on the air on TNN, hey, yeah, we got a TV deal, but you wouldn't know that unless you're an ECW fan, because this network doesn't let anyone know. And I think a lot of people from the outside looking in say, oh, well, all they need is TV, and then ta-da, they're all set. But that's not really it.
No.
It doesn't matter how many households you're in. It becomes almost if a tree falls in the woods, you have to let people know, and you're hoping that they'll watch that programming, which I thought was one of the big advantages. that WWE had with the Fox deal. Cause I would be watching NFL on Sunday and they're promoting what's coming up on SmackDown. Like that was a big doggone deal because you know how many people are watching the NFL. And you're hoping that there's some crossover, that whatever program that they're advertising the wrestling show on, that same demographic would also be likely to tune in and watch the wrestling show. There's a lot of narrative out there about what type of deal that AEW has with Warner Brothers Discovery, and that perhaps a lot of the value of that contract is in promotion. And I know sometimes that gets repeated with criticism, but I almost say, yeah, good on Tony for understanding that, hey, yeah, ECW had a TV deal, but they didn't promote it at all. So you need the network to really support you and get behind you. How big of a challenge is that going to be for AMC from a crossover standpoint? But more importantly, how vital was it during your Spike relationship that not only do we have a deal with Spike, but you're going to let everybody know that we're here and you're going to promote it on all your other programming? That has to be, obviously the money's important, but almost as important has to be that exposure through the rest of the network, right, Jeff? Can you talk about that?
Oh boy. In recovery, they talk about, to sustain sobriety, you got to share it with others. And what you share with others is experience, strength, and hope. I could share a whole lot on this, Conrad. I don't know why I said that, but the reality is, and I had a couple of different phone calls. Hey, Jeff, anyway. And they said, hey, we'd like to get a quote from you on this. And I'm like, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. I know Conrad will, and I said, but I don't want to be quoted on this. And they said, okay, off the record. So I'm giving you a little inside baseball. Off the record, I said, here's the reality. Congrats. But now the hard work starts. Like now the hard work really starts. Your creative is going to be raked over the coals, and what you're kind of saying, your marketing awareness in this day and age, the good thing that they have is that they have a base which is massive in YouTube, in X, and Instagram. It's not a startup. So they're bringing, and I'm sure this was in detail when they were formulating the deal, that, okay, what's your social media and all this, but all that is great, but if you don't do anything with it. And so I look at network promotion. Yes, it's important, but at the end of the day, creative, compelling content is all that matters. It is all that matters. And I'm saying, when I look at, and I always, can go back, we're talking about TNA, the growth, like when we were beginning to grow and our numbers were coming up, we were so far off Spike's radar to promote us because they had UFC. Like, and they had, they had to promote their other stuff because they would have reality shows, and they tried different programming, but we were just not even anywhere in the radar, not until we got one or two sponsors. And I remember the energy, and then Wrangler was a big deal for us, but we got a couple of bites in when we got into prime time, and that it didn't happen. When you're late night, it's run a schedule advertising, and then Thursday night, late night, all that. But when we got into prime time, then all of a sudden the sales team focused and said, we're going to sell TNA Impact, and here's your package. And so we started getting that momentum, but it doesn't happen overnight. But we started getting traction on all that. But that being said, as far as the network's priority, until TNA truly proves a number, I don't see AMC getting behind them in any kind of meaningful way, because, and look, I don't know what the numbers are, the deals are, all that, but maybe they are. I hope maybe it was built in and baked in and all that kind of stuff. But I'm very curious to really see, and I think you maybe can help me out here. I think Carlos and others have said, oh, no, the WWE relationship is still stronger than ever. And that therein lies what is the real deal here? Is it, you have Raw on Netflix and SmackDown on USA and NXT on CW, and you have TNA on AMC. And so is there, a formal deal? Not really. Not that we know of, but is there a talent? Because if you're going to kind of continue to be the fourth brand, if you will, or fourth television show, I just real curious to see how much was discussed when AMC buying TNA, or is AMC buying TNA with the WWE relationship? And they were pretty strong. I think Carlos said, no, that relationship's still strong or never. That may have been what really sealed the deal. I don't know. It's still good for the business regardless, but I'm real curious to see that. But I'm going back to, no matter what the WWE relationship is or isn't, or what AMC does or doesn't do as far as marketing, their show has to be compelling week in and week out, or the results will prove itself out.
I do want to ask, again, we don't know all the details just yet, but Carlos Silva named it and claimed it a few months ago, said that he was hoping to get a $10 million annual rights fee. And if he does that, if that's what the terms of this deal are, and again, I don't know for sure what those numbers are, that would be about $192,000 a week on a 52-week run. Does that sound about right? I know it's been a while since you actually put together a P&L for budgeting television. Some live, some taped. So it's not live every week. Just want to clarify that. TNA has made that clear. 192. Does that seem like profitable, break even, in the red? What do you think?
Oh, well, that's, if that, let's just use 200. Conrad, it all depends. And again, I don't know, I do not know. But I've heard it said recently that the cost of production has come down between 7 and 10 times from where it was 20 years ago. That blew my.
What does that mean? I'm not saying that to be funny. Talk us through that. Give us a real example.
The cost of a truck. So when you roll into an arena, your expenses, if you're just gonna kind of line item, and we ain't got time, or I'd have to get out on spreadsheets, but you're looking at, let's just say, the TV truck, and then you're going to have to hang lights, and then you're going to have the audio, and then the all the crew that has to go all through this. You've just kind of got your production budget, but lights and sound and truck and technology, and like Conrad, back in the day, spotlights. Look, again, I'm not a pro at this, but spotlights, are up in the arena, and you'd look at different folks that are manned up there. Now they're all backstage sitting right there. And, you can, the technology has just blown. It just, to me, it's amazing. And the prices have come down, and you can do a lot with one vendor and all that kind of stuff. So let's just call it 200. They can easily do that because production's come down. And you may know better than I do, but we used to have exclusivity on guys, so to speak, AJ and Joe and all that, just because that was kind of the nature of the business. Do they offer long-term deals at TNA? I don't think. And then they also get all the WWE talent. So I don't think that's what I'm saying. When you roll into a venue and you are pricing things out, your production costs have come down, and I think your talent costs have come down. My gut tells me it's profitable right now, as soon as they start getting that first check.
Listen, who knows what's real and what's not real?
I don't know.
But you and I have both heard in the rumor mill over the last 2 years that TNA was for sale. It was being quietly offered for sale. I heard a number. I don't know if I heard the same number you did. We won't air it out here. But I think a lot of people have heard that and believed that once upon a time, and maybe now, TNA was for sale. Well, obviously, a critical piece of that is to have a good television clearance. If you'll recall, when Eric Bischoff was trying to buy WCW out of the ashes of Time Warner in 2001 with Fusion Media, the deal fell apart when it was made clear Turner was not going to honor the television contracts. They would no longer offer those Monday and Thursday slots for Nitro and Thunder, whatever the new show may be. Wrestling was not going to be on the network. That all changed, of course, in 2019 with the creation of Dynamite and Rampage and Collision, but still, the television deal was a big part of the proposed purchase of WCW. I believe, and again, I don't have any inside information, just from the outside looking in, we've all heard the rumor. Maybe not everybody's heard it, but I think you've heard it too, that WWE had a first right of refusal type situation with TNA. And to be clear, let me give a real estate example, maybe some of our listeners could identify with. When I was looking for a new office building, and we're in the new office now, we've been here a few months, but there was another space I looked at that had adjacent space next to it that was also available. I didn't need both suites. I needed one suite. So what I negotiated, Jeff, was, hey, I want to lease out the suite I'm primarily interested in, and these are the terms. I'll offer this amount of money for this many years or what have you. But I also want first right of refusal on the other space, meaning don't just go lease it to anybody. If you get a serious offer from someone and it looks like someone is about to really take over that space, at least give me an opportunity to match it. I'll pay you what they'll pay. I'm not saying I will, but I want to at least reserve the right that if I'm getting this spot right now from you, that you'll at least give me an opportunity to get that before you let it go to someone else. The idea being, I know that rates are going to improve in 2026, and I know that I'm going to have to expand in order to handle that newfound volume. So I'm going to need more space. So I know I'm going to outgrow this space. I'll need that. So I offered a first right of refusal. And I believe WWE has that with TNA. And I think the reason they have that, A, is they would love to have something in their back pocket to help prop up the TKO stock if and when they needed it with another acquisition, because that is how you keep stock prices rising, is you tell people, hey, we didn't exactly kill it last quarter with what we're doing, but look at this new shiny object we've just got. Here's how we're going to make that and more, blah, blah, blah. And then here come all the happy investors. Oh, I'll take some. There you go. But I also think that that was strategy from an MLW standpoint. It wasn't that long ago that MLW actually pinned WWE's shoulders to the mat and officially sent their longtime attorney from Pittsburgh into retirement. And a 20 some odd $1 million settlement was cut, and Court Bauer and MLW were forever changed as a result of that settlement. But do you believe that that's what is next for TNA? Like, I don't say that anybody's operating as if that's going to happen tomorrow. But now that they do have a television deal, doesn't it stand to reason that it's more attractive to a potential investor? It's more likely, if it is being shopped, that they will get a potential offer. And if a first right of refusal exists, that WWE could then at that point execute that. And now they fold it all in. That's the only way it makes sense from where I sit to think about, why is WWE helping TNA? I know some people say, oh, because it's a feeder system. Respectfully, it doesn't matter to the bottom line for WWE at all. It's not even a blip, their association with TNA, but controlling it. But if it's something where they want to steer clear of any sort of antitrust stuff, if they're saying, oh no, we just matched what somebody else was offering, we didn't try to create a monopoly, we just matched it. That feels like that's chess, not checkers. Am I off base? How do you read it?
I said this the day it came out. They asked kind of, and I just said, I don't want to be quoted on this. I want to talk about it on my podcast. I said, hey, bud, let me put it to you this way. Do you think WWE helps competitors? Oh, okay. Zero chance. That's exactly what it is. And now, and look, Lynn had been in that, and Lynn's got himself in a lot better position than he did. But how long does this go on? How long is that first right of refusal? Because now they're going to run it off whatever this paycheck is. So they're so much better off than they were. Does Lynn want to stay in the wrestling business? But of course anything can happen. But I just go back to, and we've had this conversation offline, when WWE first started helping them, and just like, oh, this is all fun and warm and fuzzy, and social media is having a ball with it. But there it is. And whether it's Ari or Nick or a combination of the two, there's your chess play. And good on them. I mean, that's exactly what they did. you know much more about the MLW and all the antitrust and all that kind of stuff, but it's business. They they just don't help competitors, period. Matter of fact, they do everything in their power to nuke them or do anything, to lower numbers or whatever it may be. But they are positioning themselves exactly what, in my opinion, exactly what you said. When the stock might not be as flattering, your acquisition comes in, boom, get a little bump in the stock.
And if you're curious, it takes another television provider off the chessboard, not available to anyone outside of the WWE family, because TNA has it. Can't wait to see what's next. I, for one, am really jazzed up to see what they do in January. How fun is it for you? It almost feels like history repeating itself. Wait, TNA debuting a new day and a new time in January
On a Thursday?
Right? Come on.
On a Thursday. But again, you know what? At the end of the day, the thing that is just kind of, I don't know. First in this business are they're just hard to really, I mean, true first that really means something. They're just really hard to come around. But TNA, obviously talent, but creative, marketing, they all has, I would hope, a laser focused on this debut episode that they have got to come out. They got to make noise, and I'm not saying just on the first Thursday, but I'll just say the first 12 Thursdays. They've got to come out blowing and going, because no matter how much WWE helps them, they got to stay. The product has to stand on. So that's where it excites me when there's new opportunities like that, and there is definitely a new opportunity for those guys.
Well, there's an opportunity for everybody listening too. I'm talking, of course, about our friends at Legal Buddy. You know, life happens fast. 1 minute you're driving home after work, and the next you see flashing lights in your rearview mirror. Your heart skips, your hands tighten on the wheel, and you start asking yourself, what do I do now? That's when you need someone on your side. And with the Legal Buddy app, you can connect with a local attorney in seconds, not hours, not days, but right when you need the help. Whether it's a DWI, a car accident, a criminal charge, or even just a traffic ticket, the Legal Buddy app puts real legal support right in your pocket. Imagine having an attorney on call, ready to guide you through some of life's most stressful moments. This isn't a call center. It's not a waiting game. It's direct access to a lawyer who understands your situation and your community, and one who can step in right away. Think about it. When trouble knocks, do you want to face it alone? Or would you rather have the confidence of knowing a professional is already on your side? That's the peace of mind that Legal Buddy gives you. And here's how easy it is. Go download the Legal Buddy app right now at legalbuddyapp.com. Register today and use the referral code LEGAL for your chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. Life is unpredictable. Accidents happen, tickets happen, mistakes happen. But when they do, you don't have to go through it alone. The Legal Buddy app, always on your side. Download the app today and enter the referral code LEGAL.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down the top 5. Brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
All right. So recently on the show, we had what we thought were the top 5 best talkers in the wrestling business, according to Jeff. And I sort of challenged him and said, hey, you didn't list any heels. Where the hell's Ric Flair on this list? And you made the distinction. Hey, we're talking about guys who sell tickets. We're talking about guys who do a money promo. So that needs to be baby faces. But today we're tackling the top 5 best heels on the mic. So we've talked about the guys who did the best money promos from a babyface position, but who could run their mouth as a bad guy? And of course, we're not going to include JEFFGARRETT. We know nobody had a more punchable face than Double J. But when it came to Jeff making a list of his favorite, baddest interviews, who are the best heels on the mic? Let us know in the comments below. That's what we want to know from you. Who ran their mouth better than anybody as a heel? Coming in at number 5 on Jeff's list of the top 5 best heel talkers in wrestling, Rowdy Roddy Piper He's really the guy that all of WrestleMania is based around. Yes, we wanted to see Hulk Hogan win, but we really wanted to see Hulk Hogan shut this guy up. Why is Roddy Piper number 5 on your list?
Well, Conrad, I have had a blast, and I could have come up just like the babyface side. The heel side was much more fun because it's in my DNA. And when I really drilled down, I had to eliminate this guy and that guy and then circle back and all this. But when I started, I just kind of thought, and it's funny, Conrad, we haven't had any conversation and about this and how I looked at, okay, the territory days, and Piper had some incredible, like, I mean, Don Owens, the Carolinas, we'll call it pre-WWF days, unreal work. But when you really think about, I'll call it the philosophy of Vince McMahon's booking was Hogan's my champion, build up a monster heel, put him together, kind of like Hogan Andre WrestleMania 3. But when you look at the one that really kicked things off, he did a tag, and the foundation of it all, which just kind of blows my mind, was Piper's mouth. And so you just can't have, you got to have the opponent, you got to have the heat, and I think history will prove time out over and over and over and over. The babyface can only go as high. They reached the level of the heat of the heel. People may really, really disagree with that. And once your babyface is up and made and established, the heel can kick the shit out of the babyface. And that heel, but if he's just so-so, and Lawler, I've witnessed this many, many times. Lawler would say, hey, man, when I'm hot, I'm hot. But that heel's got to do his job. And if the people don't buy into it or believe it, then the business is only going to get as hot as the heel is. And when you look at what really kicked off Hulkamania in a crazy big way, it's Piper. And his uneasiness on the mic, people, and I still hate when this comes out legitimately, but the people looked at Roddy with kind of a side eye, like, man, this guy's freaking nuts, but man, he's creative, he's entertaining, but there's a screw loose up there. Piper just had that ability. And I think that's where all of his money came, in that he was just kind of a reckless kind of, you had no idea, very crafty with his words, but his aura, the aura of Roddy Piper in a lot of ways is what set him apart. Roddy. Love that guy, man. A lot of fun with conversations with him.
How much fun would we be having with him in 2025 if he was still with us?
Oh my gosh. Like, can you imagine? Seriously, doing a podcast with Roddy. And I don't think you could do 2 hours with him, Conrad. Well, maybe you could, but like, Roddy, we're going to focus on 45 minutes to an hour and whatever it may be, and probably give him a couple of different build-up, because he had all kinds of stories. He was a part of Global Force Wrestling, one of our Vegas tapings, because he had a movie coming out called The Masked Saint. But me and Roddy, during that time, we had more conversations. I probably still have the last voicemail that Roddy sent me, because not long after that, he passed away. But his storytelling and kind of detail, and this heel and this deal and all that, he's shit, man. Boy, Conrad, that's a fun what if, a podcast with Roddy.
Ooh. Well, listen, he did a podcast for a cup of coffee with
he did
Earl Skakel, yeah, and it was fun. But all I could think about was, imagine if we were doing Ric Flair's last match and we had him doing promos to help Flair get ready and training, and him doing promos about you and Leith, knowing their history, having a Piper element in that would have been so off the walls fun.
Roddy did his Hollywood work and all that kind of stuff, but like in his element of being, I think, I don't even, yes, he's a heel, but an antagonist. Like, he knew how to push buttons on baby faces that the audience could relate to, that you just wanted to say, I'm going to beat the shit out of Roddy. I would love to, so good, man. I just can't say enough good about his money-making ability as a heel talker.
Coming in at number 4 on Jeff's list of the top 5 baddest heels on the mic, Mick Foley. Now listen, I saw it as Mankind. I saw it as Cactus Jack. I saw it in WCW. I saw it in the WWF. I saw it in ECW. Why does Mick Foley come in at your list on number 4?
You know what? And Conrad, I don't know if that surprised you that he was on there, but I tried to really think back. And again, I went through kind of my territory talkers, if you will, and then just kind of drilling down on, we'll call it the Hulkamania, then the Attitude, and over the last 20 years. And but when I kind of think back on Mick's, and he could have been in that babyface top 5. I don't know who I would have bumped out, if anybody, but when I really thought through the ability to build an aura around your, not just your wrestling persona and character, but like vividly draw a picture, like his work against The Undertaker, his work against Vader in WCW, his work is, whether it's Mankind or Cactus Jack, and when he would really get into it. And look, even in TNA, when me and him were kind of going back and forth, they were still mainly a babyface promo, but the intensity and the just the unique ability to draw the audience in, draw out the picture, and then really lay it out there. And when the time you're done, you're like, Taker is going to kick his ass, or maybe he might not, because you can't hurt the guy. Just his kind of Teflon ability, and knowing that, that Hell in the Cell match obviously is something that jumps off the page at everybody, but just that aura about, man, can my favorite babyface beat him? I'm paying to see it. I think that's what it's about.
Well, I can't wait to see how you do this, because coming in at number 3, we have a tie. Not an honorable mention, but Jeff couldn't decide who is the better heel talker, Jerry the King Lawler or Hollywood Hogan. Man, you got 2 all-time greats here, real titans, pardon the pun. Why are they both at 3, and why is it a tie, Jeff?
I think if I would have put either one of them, coming from Jeff, coming from me, if I would have put either one of them at number 1, I don't think you guys would have been surprised. But look, they were, obviously both on the babyface side. But when you go back and really look at Lawler's, I'll call it, I don't think he's been matched, but his heel run his run in Memphis, it started, 70s, and didn't really, when he went to, we'll call it going to WWE in 90, but 10, 15-year run and selling all the tickets. The foundation was completely built by being an ass kicking, lying, conniving, no good heel in Memphis. His entire career, the Memphis run, is built off Lawler's heel work. And of course, he had the babyface promo to back it up and pulling the strap down, but that was all built off the heel. And so Lawler, his ability to just absolutely piss everyone off, and people, whether it was my dad or Jackie Fargo or Dundee or Dutch or any of the other guys that were brought in that weren't part of the territory. Lawler, Rocky Johnson, when the Rocky movie was hot, boxer versus wrestler, people wanted to see. We could go on and on and on and on and on about it. They were just, Lawler had a ton of heat, and it all started. Yeah, he's a great bump taker, but his mouth got it. And then you flip over to Hulk, in his heel run, in a lot of ways, is almost just nothing short of at times it's kind of jaw dropping, because yes, the timing was right. And, Scott Hall appearing on Nitro is a big deal. And then you have Nash showing up, another big deal. And then who's the third man? And I'm sure you and Shivani and you and JR and you and Eric or anybody you've done a podcast in depth with, had it not been Hogan, would the NWO still been selling shirts like it does today? I'm going to
No.
say no.
No.
I just, because he was Hulk. Look, I mean, you know, me and Hulk didn't see eye to eye business wise, but I've talked about the biggest box office attraction this business has ever put out. I'm really glad and happy the way that the last couple of years of his life he lived it and all that. With that being said, just looking at him as a sheer talent, the babyface run he had from the Hulkamania years, and then you know the steroid trial and Thunder in Paradise, and then he went to WCW as a babyface and all. But then all of a sudden he walks out, and Hollywood Hulk Hogan was born. It goes up there as for 2 years, you know the time frame, but he's the hottest heel in the business at. Damn sure wasn't his work rate, and you know where his age was at. You know he wasn't a spring chicken. It was only his mouth, and so you know, oh, Hulk Hogan as a top heel talker, yeah, because I think he fundamentally changed wrestling a second time with his mouth.
Can I give you a theory on as to why that happened? I think Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, I love them, by the way. One of my all-time favorite duos. Great guys individually too. I still count Kevin as a friend to this day. Our podcast network sells ads for his podcast. Him and Sean do a great job. However, in 1996, you had to be a wrestling fan to know who those guys were. Like if you weren't in the wrestling bubble, I don't think you knew who Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were. But I think by 1996, Hulk Hogan had been such a big part of Americana for more than a decade that the Hulk Hogan character and persona had ascended into almost comic book like territory. Like maybe you weren't into it. Maybe you used to be and you weren't now. But I think a lot of people would count themselves as saying, hey, I'm a Superman fan. Hey, I'm a Batman fan. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to run down to the comic store and pick up the latest edition of a Superman comic book, but they grew up with Superman. They like Superman. And I think there was a curiosity factor on the mainstream where people said, wait a minute, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy? I got to see what that's about. And I make the comparison to, like, if you were a hardcore comic book fan, then you were probably reading other comics in 96. That's Hall and Nash. They may have been the top selling comics for the hardcore comic book fan. But someone who's thought they sort of grew out of comics may have heard, wait a minute, Superman's a bad guy now? Okay, I just want to see what this is about. And I think more importantly than seeing Superman do bad stuff as a villain, we want to hear, how in the world is Superman justifying being a bad guy? How can Superman turn his back on the fans? How can Superman turn his back on the good? How is he siding with evil? So I think that's the reason the mainstream said, hey, I'm going to check this out. I know when I was flipping through the channels, I was completely out of wrestling. Hadn't watched wrestling in years. So much so that when I saw Scott Hall and Kevin Nash standing there, I said to myself, why is Hulk Hogan wearing all black? And why is Vinny Vegas and the Diamond Stud with him? Because I missed all of Diesel and Razor Ramon. I had not seen it. I did not count myself as a wrestling fan anymore. But what got me back in is, why is Hulk Hogan wearing all black? Is he a bad guy? Why? What's going on? And I think I'm not alone in that. And I think that this is the reason he deserves to be your number 3. It wasn't necessarily his heel matches that people tuned in to see.
No.
They tuned in to hear, wait, Superman's a bad guy? Why? I got to hear this. Does that make sense?
I was texting with a buddy over the weekend, and he was talking about my dad and all this kind of stuff. But it took me back, as you're saying that, to the conversation. And I asked my dad one time, we were talking about, and we kind of got into it. And I said, just when you really take a step back, or maybe a few steps back from the industry, and you'll kind of bring up different things on the pod about, hypothetically speaking, what happened if this would have happened or that would happen. When you really take a step back, and yeah, Hulk, great talker. I'm with you on all that, but had Hulk switched heel while he was working for the WWE, it would have been flat, kind of been okay. The fact that he was the WWE flag bearer and now he's heel on the other channel on Nitro, not on WCW Saturday. I just think the timing of everything and then what you just said, it just brought a curiosity to, now, wait a minute. I heard about Ted Turner's group going on Monday nights, and wait, Hulk, yeah, I think him and Savage went down there. Didn't they do the parade through the parks or something? But nothing to really get people emotionally invested in the story. And we've talked about this. I think Hogan being a part of truly being a part of the other brand as a heel, and the North taking over the South, or the WWE taking over, because you said Vinny Vegas and Diamond Stud. I think to the wrestling world, it was Hall and Diesel and Razor that took over all that kind of stuff. I think in a lot of ways that promo at Bash at the Beach, in a lot of ways, that you can almost say, and I know WWE fans, oh no, I think that's the day the Attitude Era started.
Let's do it. Coming in at number 2 on Jeff's list of the biggest money promos on the heel side. Who was the best heel on the mic? We want to hear from you in your top 5 in the comments. But when it comes to old Double J, probably no surprise, the Macho Man Randy Savage. I know for you, it's always been Lawler and Savage is like your 1 and 2. How does Savage get the nod over Hogan and over Lawler? I'm really curious to hear this.
Not that Hogan or any of the guys, but when you look at Randy, and I'm going to go the Pafo days to the Mid-South Coliseum against Lawler days, he got up there, and I won't be able to recall, but let's just say his IC title run. I mean, Randy, to me, defined a money-making heel in that he knew, when you hear his promos, he gets himself over. He says just enough to piss people off. He says just enough to give his opponent, the babyface, the right kind of credibility. And his formula, which I hate to say was very non-formula in style, but it was Randy's madness, truly the Macho Madness. He knew how to steer promos, and not just promos, episodic, week after week. I mean, in a lot of ways, a mad scientist, brilliant. Randy knew the Macho Man character. Yeah, a little paranoid. Yeah, a little out there. But as a guy walking to the ring, we'll call it, as the heel, as the antagonist, I don't know of anybody that you could say has drawn more money. He's right up there at the top in that kind of just pay-per-view. He was a money-making machine when he was a red hot heel. He just had so much, I hate to use it, I think I've overused it in this segment, but aura. And that's why I think that's it's really, you cannot, you got to create it. It in a lot of ways, he would create like Mick Foley I was talking about. They just kind of create that aura that when you got done with the heel promo, you go, I got to see that. This babyface is going to kick his ass, and I want to see that. They really knew how to tell the story, and the payoff is I'm getting my ass kicked. Randy was really good, great at it.
I got to ask you a question, and I know you're going to be annoyed by it.
Oh boy.
But yes, you were a wrestling executive. Yes, you were a wrestler who achieved the greatest heights. NWA champion, WCW champion, IC champion, pay-per-view main events. Like, you checked all your boxes. But you were never able to get Jerry Lawler to come do anything with TNA. And even if it didn't last as long or go exactly how you hoped, is it a point of pride that you got Randy Savage's last appearance in wrestling? You got Randy Savage's last promo in wrestling on your brand TNA? Because it feels like to me, just as a fan, not as a performer, not as a business executive, but just as a fan, hey man, I got to platform my favorite wrestler, the guy I looked up to. He did his last promo in my organization. Does your brain even work like that?
Not at the time, but when I look back over it, you look at and Savage's last in-ring appearance, he beat me.
Yeah.
Ric Flair's last ring appearance, he beat me. There's a few others. China's last match beat me and Karen, Kurt and China. There's a couple out there. It's to me, that's I hope that's part of my legacy, that at the end of the day, build it, and then give the people what they want. Deliver the babyface getting their hand raised. So yeah, it's yes. I when I did it, no, but I certainly was elated in that 6-man. Yeah, take it on me. It's gonna be great. Randy beats me. Yes, that's kind of a bucket list for sure.
You could probably guess who's number one. Before we go to number one, though, I want to mention that you had an honorable mention, and
I
it's
did.
one that a lot of people probably do not have on their top 5 list. And we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments below who are your top 5 best talkers on the heel side of things.
I'd love
So
to
we're
see.
not saying Dusty cutting a promo. We're saying from a heel perspective, who was best on the stick. And your honorable mention is Austin Idol. Talk to me about that.
Look, and I submitted by 5, and I had Idol on my list twice, and then I was like, no, this and that, and I kind of go back into the regional or territory and then national stage. And at the end of the day, look, and it goes without saying, Piper, a global stage, Mick a global stage, Hogan and Lawler a global stage, Savage certainly a global stage. Unfortunately, that is in my mind. Not the ability, but maybe the platform is why Idol didn't make the top 5. But when you look at so many of today's different performers, and namely Hogan has a lot of Idol in him. Austin's ability to create an arrogant, cocky heel that you must watch this Monday night or this Tuesday night in Louisville. This is the one and only time. The American Heartthrob, often imitated, never duplicated. You get to see me just this night. This is going to be the last time. Might be the first time for some of you folks, but it's going to be a great time. I mean, just his ability to really capture, because he would have a thread. And I don't want to say babyface. He'd probably get hot at me for even saying this, but he had kind of a thread of endearment in there that you go, son of a bitch, this guy is a megastar. I mean, he certainly believes it. A little cocky, a little arrogant, but shit, I got to go see this. And then when you had the right babyface promo, like a Lawler or whoever his opponent would be, then Lawler, and Idol, he just knew how to pay off. I guess when you look at all 5 or 6, counting Hogan, all this, so I had 6 in my top 5, if that makes sense. Everybody could talk, but I think maybe at the top of Idol's ability is that Idol's last 15 seconds of his money-making promos, man, they were special. Because when he got done, and he, Jefferson or Jackson or whatever it is. But I mean, when he decided to take it home, and look, I would sit as a 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, Lance Russell in front of a microphone, Randy West, my uncle, running camera, and we're doing, all right, we got to do this Saturday night in Nashville, 60-second promo. Lance would take 10 or 15. A lot of times Lance would just say, hey, everybody, it's Lance. And Idol would come in because he wanted all 55 seconds or whatever it may be. And a lot of times he'd just take 40, or we'd have a 2-minute, boy, oh boy. Then Idol would really have his time, but you'd have Saturday, and then you'd have Tuesday, and then have Wednesday and say, hey, or we get you for this Monday or whatever it is. And Idol would sit there and pace and think through it, kind of know that, and then boom, turned it on. damn, I get fired up really thinking about how good of a promo he is, because he's still rocking. Idol's still rocking and rolling. I'll say this, I think he could be a hell of a mouthpiece um, on a major program. Like a guy like him, to have the right talent, grooming the right talent, I'll say hypothetically on a TNA program with the right arrogance, because they're going to need talkers. And I mean, you're going to have to communicate with that audience. Idol can still communicate big time. He's great. Really, really good.
Do you think Tony Khan was an Austin Idol fan?
I'm positive he was. He was upset that Idol would never come in studio. We had that conversation. We've had that conversation, which is a blast. It's a fun conversation because Tony, he literally can remember like specific storylines and episodics. And oh man, when the stipulation with this, he should have been in studio. And I'm like, hey, bro, I don't remember that in detail, but you do. But yeah, I mean, that was boy, oh boy, we've had that conversation. Idol like to come in on Mondays and go home. Every now and then we could get him to do come in Friday night, do a Memphis TV, do a Saturday. My dad would book a Sunday and then have a Monday and go home Tuesday. So anyway.
By the way, anytime you or I give any sort of compliment to Tony Khan, I know there's a portion of the listening audience that just goes, oh, these guys are such kiss asses or suck ups. But how fun is he to talk wrestling to? Dude's got like a photographic memory and will remember things that you're like, oh yeah, that's right. It's unbelievable.
So Karen pointed out that because the article came out talking basketball, and I was remember this, and then buddy of mine called me on the phone. He was going through that. We went into a rabbit hole. It's certain things like I've got recall on anyway. The reason I'm saying all that to say his passion for wrestling is almost unmatched. That's what it comes from. It's that simple. And I have some goofy memories on basketball memories, whether I was in the game, a part of the game, watching a tournament, all that kind of stuff. So passion, man.
Well, let's do it. We saved the best for last. Number 1 on Jeff's best heel promo list. Probably not a surprise. The nature boy himself, the incomparable Ric Flair. Whether he's cutting a promo on Hulk Hogan, Dusty Rhodes, or Hannibal, my man knows how to cut a promo. We're not going to talk about that. But anyway, I do want to ask, what a beautiful shot if you're watching over at myworldpod.com. Ric Flair with the big gold belt just goes together like peas and carrots. What'd you think? Why is he number 1?
How do you not put him number 1 when you think about, okay, who are let's just say, the AP ranking is like top 25 football teams. Okay, so let's get the top 25 talkers of all time. So now you have that list, and now you got to, all right, let's take the guys who were the majority of their career or did the most impactful work, heels and baby faces. So then you split that. So now you got another group. And look, we've got managers for a whole nother list. So we're not talking managers here, just in-ring talent. So when you have that, so then you kind of look at, all right, the big money matches. Okay. It just kind of, then your head to me, it starts spinning because you go, okay, Flair was in really meaningful territory matches. I mean, big ones like Wahoo and Steamboat. I mean, I'm talking about the territories. All right. So then here comes the NWA, and you've got Ronnie Garvin and Funk, and I know he's babyface, but you just kind of got a whole list there. Then he goes up to WWF, and then he comes back. And we hadn't even got to the retirement match against Shawn, or Evolution or his WWE work, and and everything that he's defined about in his heel persona is still, I don't think you can go to a show today without just a little bit of a drip of Rick in the arena with the woos. Like his legacy on the industry, and Rick will love this, long after he's gone, he's still going to be having a meaningful legacy in every professional wrestling show that exists, because I just don't see the woo going away. I mean, maybe a couple of lifetimes from now, maybe it will. I don't know. But when you have that kind of lasting impact, and that comes out of a heel's persona, and he comes out there, and whether it's screaming Mean Gene's names or Tony Schiavone or David Crockett, or whoever it is, that's how you just kind of look at as a heel walking the aisle, defined by his like true heel catchphrases and persona. And back in the day when it was time for Rick to tell a story and get serious, he could do it. But just his kind of greatest hits are, Jesus, it's maybe Elvis, Michael Jackson, Taylor Swift, Garth Brooks, all combined. I mean, he's got the greatest hits of the greatest hits in heel promos.
We want to hear from you. Who do you think had the best heel promos? Let us know in the comments below. And since Ric Flair cut one last great promo on the way to his last match with Jeff Jarrett, I thought we would play that clip here, but we're going to do that. Then we've got a special word from our sponsors. But when we come back, we've got maybe what might be Jeff's most controversial opinion of the year.
Ooh.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This message is sponsored by Raycon, and if you're looking for a holiday gift, I got to tell you, I recommend using these Raycon's Essential Open Earbuds. They're so dang good, for real. I love that I can play my music or podcast, but still hear what's going on around me. My wife rocks them at the gym. We use them together when we're walking the dogs. I can even wear them here at the office, but still hear someone call my name. And right now, they're up to 20% off for the holidays. Definitely grab a pair while you still can. You know, with regular earbuds, they just block out everything, so you'll miss all the important stuff, like someone calling your name at the office, or maybe a car honking, or something worse. But these Raycon dudes sit just outside of your ear canal, so you get really clear sound, but you can still actually hear what's going on around you too. They're really light, and the ear hook part rotates, so they actually stay in. My wife's worn them at the gym. We wear them on walks, and whenever we're doing stuff around the house, they just don't fall out. They're not uncomfortable either. Over 3 million people are already loving their Raycons because the sound quality is just as good as those big expensive brands, but they're half the price because you're not paying for retail markup or stupid celebrity endorsements. By the way, if you don't love Raycon, you got a 30-day guarantee, but I promise you, you're going to love it. I know I love mine. I love how lightweight they are. I love that I can seamlessly switch between devices. They've got multi-point connectivity. Just means I can pair it with my car or at the office or whatever, and it knows where I'm at and what to do. But I can actually live with these open earbuds. You see what I'm talking about is they got an 8-hour battery life, but 36 hours on the case. So if I forget to charge them at some point during the day, that's okay. I'll get it tomorrow. I'm living proof of that. The Essential Open Earbuds are here for the holiday season, and they're selling fast. The Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. Go right now to buyraycon.com/myworldopen to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Order by December 15th, and you'll guarantee delivery by Christmas, because great gifts shouldn't show up late. It's buyraycon.com/myworldopen. Listen, I'm excited to be back here on the program because we're going to be closing with probably the most important topic in wrestling this week. And I know some of you were hoping that we would have some controversial opinions or hot takes about Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery, and now Paramount trying to do a hostile takeover. As we're recording this on Monday, who knows what's coming? I do want to just mention before we talk about the big topic of John Cena this week, as people are trying to piece together what's happening next with Warner Brothers Discovery, Jeff, I just want to throw this out there. There's been a lot of discussion on whether or not Netflix could get a deal like this approved. And it turns out that Paramount, as they're trying to do a hostile takeover now and go directly to the shareholders and offer more money, that offer includes $24 billion from Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds, $1 billion from China, and the other contributor, Jared Kushner's private equity firm. His father-in-law is the president of the United States. So to say things got interesting today would be an understatement, but Jeff and I are not television insiders. We don't have any inside scoops here, but needless to say, the entire world, not just wrestling, but all of America is paying attention to what's happening with Netflix, Paramount, and Warner Brothers Discovery. We're sure that there will be lots to talk about in the coming weeks, but we have no inside information.
Whoa.
Is there anything you want to throw out there?
Wait, so Jared Kushner is a part
of the Paramount bid.
I just don't know enough about it, but this is not, woo boy. Get your popcorn, folks. That's interesting. And My World is a podcast about Jeff Jarrett. What is Jeff Jarrett about? Wrestling since 1946 in the family. So everybody, AEW, this, all the kind of stuff. And look, at the end of the day, I think, this is way, way up here. AEW, just keep on keeping on, because professional wrestling content, I think, continues 52 weeks, get more and more and more and more and more and more and more valuable. I think it just does. It is like we commented, and I don't know if people will see it, but the Tennessean article, hey man, we're 52 weeks a year, compelling content. Professional wrestling doesn't have off season, so that's a good thing. But damn, Conrad, that's really, really interesting.
As a friend of mine says, the snot thickens.
You know what? I can't wait. Boy, and I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm going to be texting you a few things. Conrad, what do you think? So China money, Middle Eastern money, and
the president's son-in-law.
Yes. God almighty.
I'm just saying, I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, this means this for AEW. Who knows? Nobody knows anything right now. There's lots of conjecture. Lots of people want to yell at clouds, and other people want to think that the sky is falling.
I hate to say it, all due respect, and I'm a wrestling guy, but when you're talking about Warner Brothers legacy IP, right? It's so far generations and generations. They're not worried about Major League Baseball or NHL hockey or professional wrestling. It's not in the conversation. Oh my God. That's crazy big, man.
From a wrestling perspective, and this is what I think is maybe we've saved the best for last today.
I'm curious.
Because you and I were talking last week, because I can't believe this is real, but this is the week where John Cena will wrestle his last match. Now, somehow, some way, he lost your number, and you're not involved in this one like you were for Randy Savage and Ric Flair. And it looks like it's going to be Gunther this Saturday night on Saturday night's main event. The rest of that card on Saturday night's main event is going to be featuring some NXT up-and-comers. John Cena is taking credit for this in interviews, saying that he wanted to show, yes, we're going to have his last match, but let's shine the light on the future of WWE. So we're going to have Bayley, one of the more decorated performers in WWE history, taking on Sol Ruca from NXT. And then we're going to have QB1, the world champion, Cody Rhodes, the man who ended Roman Reigns' streak, the man who beat John Cena at his last WrestleMania, wrestling Obafemi. And this is kind of a big deal because there's a lot of people online who say that the NXT champion should beat Cody Rhodes. This should be a star making performance for him. And I almost say to myself, why would the guy who beat Roman Reigns, and I don't know that you have a guy from developmental necessarily beat him, but if you had the book, you had the pencil on this, would you allow the NXT champ to beat the WWE champ this Saturday on Saturday night's main event?
Conrad, we've gone back and forth on phone calls and texts and hell, if we've been in person, have we talked probably over the last year? I'm sure we have, but context is king. And my perception, and I know, so do they look at Saturday night main event? They certainly don't want to tell Peacock this, but I think to the wrestling audience, you are having Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, however you want to put it, bucket this, just however you want to put it out there. This is it. So it feels like it should be a huge deal. Like, I get it's not Mania or SummerSlam, but man, in this context, like last match, we know for proof, I'll say, whatever, second biggest, I'm going to say one of the biggest in the modern era, the biggest independent wrestling show in history is because, not because of Jeff or Conrad or our undercard, is the last time you're going to say Ric Flair. RickFlairLastMatch.com. That's why he got the URL. It wasn't Rick and Jeff. Okay. So it feels like this could be, or should be, or is to the wrestling audience, your Babe Ruth, Michael Jordan, the biggest event of the year, like huge. And we're going to have, man, oh man, we've got the New York Yankees coming in. They're on the undercard, and they are going to play the AA Gwinnett Braves. Right on, man. I can't wait to see Cody Rhodes and Obi. What? I mean, I don't even know where you want me to start, Conrad, because I have, and if you're a weekly listener of my world, you will know without a shadow of a doubt, I've talked about it being subjective. I've talked about, Conrad, quit bashing it. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. And just look, the heel turn, let's forget about Travis Scott.
Well, hang on for just a second. We're going to get to the John Cena stuff, but I'm
staying. So you want me to stay on Cody and Obi?
Don't you stay on Cody? Like I've seen a whole lot of people, and here's what's going to happen on Saturday, Jeff, in my opinion. People are either going to say they had a chance to make a guy, but instead they buried him. That's what they'll say if Femi doesn't win. And I get that we're trying to elevate a guy, and we're not necessarily going to make him the world champion. I don't think it's a title match, but I know we're trying to showcase what's coming. But like, how logically as a booker could you make sense of, this is the guy who beat John Cena at WrestleMania. This is the guy who won multiple Royal Rumbles. This is the guy who ended this crazy long streak with Roman Reigns that nobody thought could ever end. Cody did all of that, but now a guy in developmental is going to beat his ass. Like, wait, what?
Hold on. Let's back up here. Cause I feel like we're missing, like, I have to come sometimes pinch myself or ask, and I'm serious, ask myself, like, am I thinking a little bit like when Ari sits down with Nick Khan and says, Nick, I want you to go into Peacock and we've got to get, whatever it may be. I'll say, so what does Peacock really have to judge off of the success or lack thereof of WWE programming? I'm going to say the streams, the amount of people watching the stream. I think that is barometer metric one. Yeah, I know subscription on this, but how do you really get hard data? You say, okay, this many people tuned in to John Cena's last match. This is a WWE event. They promoted it. They marketed it. My God, what a payoff. Like, let's focus on just that. And you're hearing to tell me that even in the WWE audience, I'm going to say you line up, folks. He's in developmental, no disrespect. I get it, but It's a complete head scratcher to me. Well, you told me not to get into it too yet. I can't believe that if we really want to see the baton passed, like truly the baton passed, why is it Cody take it wrestling Cena? Oh no, he wrestled WrestleMania. I don't give a shit. We want the most views, the most streams, the most build up, and at the end, I don't care if Cody's the heel. 95% to the people, it doesn't matter. Have those two guys face off. You have the forever image of Cena getting his hand raised, whatever it is, by Cody after he did the favor. If John's just dead set, because we can go down the road, why isn't John winning? So maybe, I mean, him and and we've talked, and I'll say this, like, if Gunther goes over, that's gonna, no, it's not. It's just it's just not going to give him the rub that in my opinion. Anyway, I want to stay on point. So Conrad, I'm staying on Cody. Why? What are we doing here? Are we not trying? So that's my question back to you. Are we not trying to get the most streams, views for Peacock? Is that not the goal for Ari?
Nope.
Is it not?
No.
So what is the goal? So that's where
WWE is being ran by, it's no longer ran by wrestling people. It's ran by business people. This is my opinion now.
Okay. I'm curious. Like,
but I'm saying they're interested in what can we sell for the biggest rights fee to Peacock. You know, they're no longer trying to sell advertising. They have a deal with Peacock, and it's an annual deal. And it's because they're going to get a handful of these, and they had to give them one big tent pole. You can't get SummerSlam. You can't get WrestleMania. You can't get all these other ones. Those are going to ESPN, but you know what we can give you? We can give you John Cena's last match. And it became less about, from a wrestling storytelling standpoint, what is the best end for John Cena's story? I think most people listening to this would say it should be in Boston, not in DC. But again, I think that decision was made based on, where can we get the best deal? Who will pay us to bring it there? Where can we get the best, tax abatements or whatever it may be? But I feel like this is a decision. This is what happens when wrestling stories, a wrestling company, focuses on the bottom line more than the story. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's called the wrestling business. I get that. But somebody who you and I both think a lot of, who is on the active roster, texted me this past week when I had a conversation with Eric Bischoff. And then at some point I had a conversation with you about consumer confidence. And that person said, WWE today is being ran like WCW was in 1998. It feels like WCW in 1998. And that's why, as you and I were talking off air this week, I've buried the lead. Here it is. Jeff Jarrett sent me a text, and I couldn't believe it, where he said, the John Cena retirement tour is the biggest fumble since the invasion. And that to me says it all. So I want to give you the floor. Why, in your opinion, is the John Cena retirement tour the biggest fumble since the invasion?
Where do I start? Because I really held out hope, not just month after month, week after week, but I really felt they're building. And then we got to the finish line, and look, I consider Gunther a buddy. I worked with him up there. Me and Walter go back to a few German days. I think his promo skills, speaking in English, blow my freaking mind, how good he's gotten. But for him to be the last match, it feels so unemotional. And, it's heel versus babyface. Cena's entire career has been on the lightning rod. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Like, so to put that in an equation, that to me discounts it. And they've had this tournament, and they had wild cards in it. And I think when you looked at the kind of original, no matter the wild cards, you said, okay, they're going with Gunther. If you've watched it, Gunther, and I'm like, no, they're going to pull a fast one. There's going to be something here. And I respect John's mindset that we're going to give the rub to the young guys and what you just said, and now Cody's facing and Bailey's facing all this, but it just feels this is captivating or the most uninspired last match that I think you could. I'm still a little dumbfounded that wait, this is what we've waited for all year. And look, who's to argue with the success of the merch and kind of, I'll call it the awareness, but the heel turn, I stayed patient. They're going to get somewhere. And then just like you said, but I'm like, no, wait, hold on. Nope. It's like fumble. Oh man, we're going to throw a Hail Mary with this last match. We're doing what? Wait, and the undercard is what? But I'll say this, it is with beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I have no inside context here to really put a stamp on it. But to me, it's pretty obvious that my gut tells me it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, but it's a minimum of a four-headed monster running creative. And when you have a committee booking creative, you have committee results. And I think we are seeing the absolute payoff of a committee booking the biggest box office attraction over the last 20 years is Send Off.
It's interesting to think because I think we all agree the heel turn was half baked, not a good idea. I don't know that I would have necessarily ended with John Cena and Cody Rhodes because I do feel like Cody's on a slippery slope right now. As you know, a lot of the audience are guys my age, and we get really tired of the white meat baby face, which is why Hogan, the biggest box office star of them all in WCW, he eventually started to get boos in the yellow and red, and he had to switch. I know that's not really what Cody wants to do. He sees the long-term plan of being the hero to little kids and being the new John Cena and all that. And that has worked out fabulously. So I'm all for it. But I do feel like you split the audience because I feel like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in that last match with Cody and John Cena. If that was the last match, like you sort of freestyled a few moments ago, I think you split the audience. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. And you've got half the audience who may hate Cody Rhodes because he beat John Cena. So I think it makes sense if you're going to have a guy, especially in Washington, D.C., now he's going to be playing against a bigger foreign heel. That feels like Rocky IV. This is a laydown. I don't know if Trump's going to be there. I don't know if Vince is going to be there, but it wouldn't surprise me if either or both were. And it being in DC, maybe there's a military presence and he used to always do the salute. Maybe he's saluting them, but he's also had this never give up thing. I think he's only submitted 4 times in his career. So maybe he could submit to Gunther and that signals the end of the career because he finally gave up. Or will fans be disappointed? Do they want to see him win his last match? I know that you felt really strongly when we were putting together Ric Flair's last match. Rick, they're not coming to see us. It's Ric Flair and others. You have to win. And he was adamant. He wanted to lose. I have to lose. It's my last match. I have to lose.
Jesus.
But you knew, hey, I hear you. But fans who bought a ticket to see you on this night at this show, that's not what they're paying for. We got to give them what they're paying for. However we got here is Gunther and John Cena this Saturday night at Saturday night's main event. What do you do with the finish?
I mean, I'm not kidding you. If he was facing Cody, I'd want to see Cena's hand raised. And I know there's politics, and he's the champ. I don't care. Cody will get over bigger by putting Cena over. Well, we can't even go down that road. For you to even ask me, oh, Jeff, should they put Gunther over? What? I think that's insanity conversation. John Cena's last match Oh no, it's for the business. Oh, good God, guys. He has spent a freaking career out of pulling people up from the mid card. He's literally done that. That U.S. title deal he did a couple years ago was one of the most brilliant pieces of business because John really dug deep and is like, I'm going to be this fighting champion. And the people that he gave opportunities to rub shoulders with him, I mean, unbelievable. His promo skills, he built them up, all this kind of stuff. But now we're at the finish line and we're having a discussion about whether he should win or not. It like, I have to ask myself, am I the crazy one? Like, what are we doing, Conrad? Do you really think they're going to put Gunther over? Do you? That's a yes or no.
Yeah.
God almighty.
I'm not saying that's what I would do.
No, I know.
I think they will. I mean, think about, I mean, I know that people want to, I mean, let's just call it what it is. John Cena's WrestleMania main event, his very last one, sucked a dick. I mean, that's as nice as I can be about it. We put all this faith and equity in Travis Scott. Where the fuck is he? Like, it feels like I did a double take when I got that text this weekend. WWE today is WCW in 1998.
That, and for most people listening to this podcast, that is 28 years ago, 27 years ago. So you had to have, I mean, okay. But to live through that and have the feeling like, ooh.
Well, see, here's what people point to, Jeff. They'll say, well, 1998 was WCW's most profitable year. It sure was. What happened in 99? How'd 2000 go? Let me hear about 2001. Like, hey, it all.
Remember, and this has stuck with me, Charlotte, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 1 year Nitro in 98, the following year back. Those numbers, I mean, the bottom fell out. And I mean, there's all kind of ratings and there's live events and there's all kind of barometers. But when you said that, I just got to going down that's an interesting comment. But Conrad, let me ask you, doesn't this have to be the result of a committee?
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that old Helicopter Rock came in and tried to change everything. And all he's got to do is pick up the phone and call Ari. And then Ari calls and says, hey, Nick, here's what we're doing. And then Nick calls Paul and says, Paul, here's what we're doing. And then Paul calls Bruce and Bruce says, here's what we're doing. And then Ed says to Kapoor, okay, here's what we're doing. And then some assistant types it out. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's freestyling a guess. But it's hard for me to imagine that this is one, like the way we used to hear, you know, Vince, Bruce, and Pat. They'd start at WrestleMania and then they'd work backwards for a year. You gonna tell me that this is exactly what they planned a year from now? No, it wasn't. There's no chance that they said, what if we do a half-ass heel turn and then we just do a fake takeaway and say, oh, nope, never mind. We're going to change it all. I'm wrestling you tomorrow night as a babyface. And don't worry, we'll revisit we'll play the hits. We'll let him wrestle Punk one last time. We'll let him wrestle Randy one last time in St. Louis. We'll have Brock Lesnar come back after being off forever and he'll just beat the shit out of him. He won't ever get his comeback on that. He'll never get his get back. He's just going to retire. Oh, Brock punked him out at the end, run the credits. Like, what? Like, I think when that happened earlier this year, you and I both thought, well, that means Brock's the last opponent.
Yes.
And okay, you laid the groundwork. He got his ass beat, and now he's going to come back and he's going to say, there's one last thing I got to do before I hang it up.
Yes.
That didn't happen. Now, along the way, he really made some guys. I do love the idea that on a poster, it was John Cena and Cody Rhodes, but it was overbooked horseshit. It took Travis Scott still walking to the fucking ring. And then guess what he did? He walked right out the building and never came back. He double J'd. It never came back. Like, it was just stupid, half cocked. It doesn't make sense. They didn't start with the end in mind. And I think a lot of it is just, hey, let's just get through tonight. And what you can prop yourself up on is you could say, How can you say we're doing bad business or if we're doing record business? Yeah, but is it sustainable? Okay, you're doing big business right now, but do you really want to see it? Like the undercard. Listen, you and I took a lot of criticism for Ric Flair's last match. All right, fine. Rick didn't perform the way we expected him to, or he expected to in the main event. But take a look at the undercard. How was the rest of the card? We tried to over deliver on the undercard with, hey,
I criticize you about the undercard.
Well, that's my point. This undercard to me is meh. Because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited with the concept of, hey, we're going to put over the future. I get that. But are you going to have the NXT champ beat the champ? That didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder, are people going to wake up and look around in the coming months and say, what do we do now? We've propped up our entire last year on the John Cena retirement tour, fucked it all up. And John Cena's being a nice guy right now. But when he's out of the tent, can you imagine when he finally lets it rip, Tater Chip, about how he feels he was booked? I mean, just this past week, he said he wanted to do 220 dates for WWE. And they said, we only need you for 36. Now, if you were a ticket buyer who went to a WWE live event in the last year and they came to your town, how would that make you feel? Like, wait, what? It seems to me that decision was made economically. I'm not saying I've ever put together a WWE house show, but a friend of mine once upon a time said, Roman ain't going to work house shows. He can't. And I said, what do you mean? Well, if you pay him per appearance, putting him on the house show means it goes from a profitable show to you're in the red, because whatever his fee was, they could not recover it by selling tickets because respectfully, Roman wasn't selling enough tickets to cover what his pay was.
Plus the plane.
That's the rumor. What's that?
Plus the plane.
There you go. So you have more insight than I do, but I'm just saying there is a cost associated with that it's like, well, I can't overcome that. So we just won't book him. So now I'm looking and I'm thinking, wait a minute, we've got business people running WWE, not wrestling people. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying, how long will these hardcore dyed in the wool fans remain faithful to something if they never get what they're hoping to be paid off? Like, we've got so many people who fantasy booked this weekend that instead of it being this big celebration of John Cena, I think we're setting ourselves up to, on Saturday night and all day Sunday, we're going to see a lot of disappointment on social media. I really do believe that. And I think that sucks. And I think John deserves better. But I did an about face when you texted me and said, the John Cena retirement tour is the biggest fumble since the invasion. Do you think this, on some level, this retirement tour becomes the WWE equivalent of the finger poke of doom?
I don't know if it's that strong, but what I will say is and I know this is, look, you have to, you got to use as many barometers and metrics and social media metrics and engagement and just, I mean, there's all kinds of things, and you can't argue with success quarter after quarter, that dividend they pay. There's so many different things that you can point to, that Ari can point to and say, here's this success, here's this success here. So who, Conrad, or me and you to say they're wrong? On the flip side of that is, and I already said, I'm a huge fan of Gunther, but John Cena versus Gunther in the last match, and we didn't know that till Friday. Okay. So no matter how you slice it and dice it, the most successful main events, you have quite the build. Whatever it may, Hogan versus whatever, certainly a lot more than 8 days. So we've, the payoff is an 8-day promotion. It just feels like, my God, and then I hate to give you credit here, Conrad. I've got to go back and kind of eat my words and go, well, I was damn sure wrong on the heel turn. And then the flip-flop back, I remember when I really, Conrad's really made me put my foot in my mouth on that. Okay, well, let's go all the way back to the turn and how we were raving about how it was executed. Because, Conrad, we were really talking about this. Okay, well, then they executed that then. In my mind, it was beautifully executed, but the reason they did it so good is we're going to get a payoff in November or October for him to turn back, Well, no, that didn't happen. Oh, I got it. They're going to kind of do a one and done and real snapshot. And like you said, the whole Brock squash. I got it. Now they can really talk about, if you really want to look at parallel careers, Cena and Brock both came into OVW, and there's a storyline there. And, Cena went off to Hollywood. Maybe Brock went off to MMA World, and they came back and they ebbed and flowed and did this and did that. Brock's got a lot of heat on him in the civil world. And no, that's not either. Connie, I would just look, and maybe StarCast 2030. There's going to be a debate. Remember when you had Bischoff and Bruce do the debate, or whoever it was?
Yep.
Like, have this debate on stage, and it's going to be the Cena retirement tour debate. And I don't know who's going to be up on stage, but my gosh, I would love to hear their defense. And maybe that's what the Netflix is going to be all about in 2026. They're going to be pointing the finger, poor Ed Koski or whoever, like, no, you screwed it up. No, you screwed it up. No, you screwed it up. Like, and did he really say he wanted to do 220? Two things, because I heard. Did he say, is that legit, or is that just kind of offhand comment? That's one. And two,
WWE booked him on the Bill Simmons podcast, and he told Bill, I told them I wanted to do one last year. I'm paraphrasing, of course, and I wanted to do 220 dates. They told me I was only needed for 36.
Question. Did he say something to the effect, this is his last match in a WWE ring?
No, I think he's done wrestling. I appreciate where you're going, and I love you for it. But I think this is it.
I didn't ask that. Did he say that?
I don't know.
Okay. What I'm saying is just the wording of it.
Well, why are you asking, Jeff?
Just because, like,
because you think Vince is going to open a promotion? I mean, he did interviews last week saying, I really struggled with Vince. I love that guy.
I'm just saying, never say never. If he said it, I'm not saying go down that. Look, Vince is probably riding off into the sunset. I have no idea. John's going to do Hollywood.
He's not riding off into the sunset.
Well, okay.
But I don't think John Cena is going to wrestle for. I think this is it. I think John Cena physically.
Okay.
That's enough. I don't think it's hey, I just want to go do Hollywood stuff. I think he's saying physically, I can't keep doing this. Now, does that mean that he might not come out and do one more one-off somewhere somehow? Maybe, I guess. But I think John Cena has pretty much said over and over and over, hey, I need you to have the closure you want. I announced it a year ahead of time for a reason. This is it. No more.
If I would have asked you this time 3 months ago, would you, and I said, hey, Conrad, Paramount's going to make a bid for WBD, and there's going to be China money, Saudi money. Oh, and the Trump son-in-law is going to be back in it. Would you have said, yeah, that's true?
Yeah, I would have bought that.
Okay.
I mean, listen, you and I talked the day the news broke that Netflix was buying it, and we talked on the telephone, and I said, I think this is just to get Paramount back to the deal, back to the table. Paramount will come back and have an even bigger offer as a result of this. I don't think they do the Netflix deal. True or false? That's what I said the day it was announced.
And I said, that's a true statement. And I hung up, and I hadn't shared this with you, and I hung up, and I thought back to myself. I went, damn, Zaslav is in a sweet ass spot, because he is going to get paid and paid and paid and then paid on his exit. Good Lord.
Well, we want to know from you guys, is John Cena's retirement tour the biggest fumble since the invasion? Now, right now, it's all speculation. Let us know in the comments below, and we will be talking about this next week. We'll probably open the freaking show. Between now and then, I'm sure Notre Dame will decline 3 more bowl bids, but we will open the show next week talking about John Cena and his last match, because I know you got travel. I know you got basketball, but you're going to watch John Cena's last match, aren't you?
Well, Conrad,
You have a choice in your house?
And that's okay, because I know you probably got to go take business calls. We probably need to wrap up, but there's another wrestling event going on Saturday night, a Battle of the Giants, that I will be attending. I'll have my iPad with me, but
Oh, wait a minute. Is this Santa Singh? Is this Santa Singh versus Big Ben Bishop?
hey, you're not going to just leave it right there, are you?
Is Cody Angle going to be representing Santa Singh?
Yep.
Cody Angle is managing Santa Singh this weekend.
Yep.
Against Big Ben Bishop. Where can we get tickets? Do you know off the top of your head?
Pro Wrestling Entertainment, Pro Wrestling. What is it? Because it was saying ProWrestlingTix.com, ProWrestlingTix.com.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm more interested in seeing that than Cody Wrestling Enhancement guy.
I'm going to FaceTime you, and if it's during the Cena match, can you give me your word? You'll press pause on the Cena match and watch Cody, and then we'll come back to it.
No problem. I got DVR for my TV. I don't have it for my phone. Can you make me a commitment that we will have a clip of Satnam Singh dressed like the world's largest Indian Santa Claus?
I love it.
Taking on Big Ben Bishop with Cody Angle, maybe doing some physicality, maybe.
Big Ben and the Grinch and how he's all dressed up in social media.
I have not seen that.
Oh, Silva.
So
maybe.
it's Santa Singh versus the Grinch this weekend?
But you've got to see Big Ben social media.
Buddy, I'm more fired up about this than I am John Cena's last match. We'll talk about them both next weekend right here on the program. Hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, and we'll see you next week right here on My World. Did you put Christmas on a credit card? Don't stress out about that extra holiday spending. SaveWithConrad.com can help you consolidate all of your high interest rate credit cards into one much lower monthly payment. SaveWithConrad.com has helped families just like yours save up to $800 a month. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. And did I mention no payments until March? So don't make saving money a resolution next year. Make it happen today at SaveWithConrad.com. NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender.